So we're going to use this graph over here for numbers 1 through 10. And these translate to true and false questions on your test. So like your first page is going to be true, false going along with this graph. So like instead of is the leading coefficient positive or negative, it'll say the leading coefficient is positive, and you would circle true or false. Like they are written as true, false questions. So is the leading coefficient positive or negative? You have to look at the right side. I realize both of these are going up, but it's the right side. So we would say positive. All right, is the degree even or odd? Yeah, even. If these go the same way, it's even. Opposite is odd. That's convenient. Odd, opposite. The degree must be at least. Now what you do is you count up the turns. So I'm circling them there. You count up the number of turns and then you add 1. So it would be how much? Yeah, 6. And that should make sense. If you just got done saying it was even, 5 doesn't make any sense. Okay? So the degree could be 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, or, it could be more than that, but at least 6. How many real zeros? This is a little tricky. We're going to count where it touches the x-axis. Can you guys just watch? I'm going to point to it. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why does that count twice? Because it bounces. So 6 is the answer.
Like, I'm going to mark that out.
So did you guys all get that? Watch me point to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, ma'am.
Is it only 2 for that 1.8 bounces point?
Yes. Yes.
If it was a wiggle and halfway.
That's not on there. We don't go above 2 for these. Because there's not a straightforward answer to that, and it gets more complicated. So it's just a non-issue. It won't ask you that. Now, if the degree is, oh, wait, go ahead. 5 turns, and then you add 1. But the degree could be more than that. We're saying it's at least 6. So it could be 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 or 100. We're saying it's at least 6. No, for the zeros, you're just counting how many times it touches the x-axis. This one only counted twice because it does what? It bounces, okay? Now, if the degree was 18, how many imaginary zeros are there? Well, look, if the degree is 18 and we said 6 of them are real, how many would have to be imaginary? Well, do you see what we did there? If there's a total of 6 answers, or I'm sorry, trying to do 2 things at once here. If there's a total of 18 answers and 6 of them are real, then 12 of them would have to be imaginary. Is that, you seem very unfocused. Are we all together there? 12 plus 6 equals 18. Okay. Now, multiplicity is even or odd. If it's even, it bounces. If it's odd, it goes through. So at -1, which is right here, is that an even or an odd multiplicity? Yeah, even. Do you see how it bounces back? And at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's right here. See how it crosses through? So odd.
Wait.
I did add that to the notes, but it was like one random thing, so we didn't remember it. Sorry, say again?
Oh, because 2.
Bounce. If it bounces back, it's even. If it goes through, it's odd.
And we don't.
We don't do wiggles. All right. This is yes or no. I need for you all to collectively focus. All right. Is f of 1 equal to 0? Well, look, here's 1. What do you think? Do I have a point there at 1, 0? No. Don't overthink that. Does f of 4 equal 0? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is right here where I'm pointing. Yes. Do you see how we have that 0.40 on the graph? State the factors. So here we have a 0 at -1. That means the factor would be x plus 1. And it would be squared, but you actually weren't asked for that. It's just what's the factor. You weren't asked for the multiplicity. So just x plus 1 is fine for that. You don't have to put the squared. Can anyone give me another one? We've got a few more. Yeah, x minus 2. X minus 4, good. X minus 5, gosh, there's a lot of them. X minus 7, good. That is a lot. Bless you. Now for number 10, you actually don't need the graph at all. Good. You have 7 plus 2i. then 7 minus 2i is also on there. Those are called conjugate pairs. It's the plus minus that's in there. You actually didn't even need the graph for that one. All right, so again, those will all be true, false. Sketch your graph. You did this on your quiz, just do it again, all right? You can have a 0 at 1 and 3 and -4. It's the little doodly graph. I love these little doodles. Is the right side going up or down? Right side goes down. Why is that? That's negative. Now, when I connect to the 3, it's from the factor that has the 3 in it. Okay, you got to find the correct one. Look at the one that has the 3 in it. What are we going to do there? Yeah, bounce. It's got a squared. So when we connect to 3, we're going to bounce.
Oh.
At the 3, the x minus 3, that factor gives us this 0 at 3. Multiplicity is 2, so it's going to bounce. When I get to 1, what am I going to do? Yeah, cross. There's not written, but it's really a 1 there. So we're going to go straight through. And then at the -4, it's a wiggle. If you feel like you can't draw that, just write the word wiggle next to it. I'll know what you mean. I'm not here to grade your art skills. You don't need to like erase it and try to make it perfect. The only thing I will say, because not a ton of you, but I had a couple people do this on the quiz. It might have been in my other class. I don't remember, but it needs to be a nice smooth curve. There shouldn't be any jaggedy edges like a jack-o'-lantern mouse. We did go over that. They're continuous, nice, smooth curves. So again, I'm not trying to grade your art skills, but I can't have it be like jaggedy points like an absolute value. That's not what they should look like. Okay, so looking at this one, I am giving you one more long division just to test you on it, but I made it a way easier problem than the one on your quiz. So yes, it's on there, but I'm trying to give you a break. Now, this is another form of notation for division. Do you see that little -1? It means that this is what you're dividing by. You do actually learn negative exponents back in Algebra 1. I know that because I teach Algebra 1 and we teach it, okay? All it means is this is the divisor. That's what you're dividing by, okay? So that x plus 2 goes out front. Your x squared minus 2x minus 15 goes inside. We're going to do our long division. Go ahead.
I just thought of a question from the last.
Oh, yeah.
When you're doing like the arrows of which direction they go, like I know how you do the leading coefficient one, but what determines the other one?
It ends up where it ends up, but the way you can check it is, and this is a good question, if you add up all your powers, so 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6, 6 is an even number, so these should be going the same way. So you graph it right to left, which I get is weird. This one is determined. The other one just kind of ends up wherever it ends up, but you can check it that way. Okay, everyone buckled in? We have an x. We want it to be an x squared. What are we going to multiply by? X, just x. And you're going to distribute it through there. You don't have to draw the little rainbows I just did to show you what's going on. Everything is going to line up nice and neat. That gives you x squared plus 2x. Go ahead. So I will tell you, this question is worth 4 points. If you did synthetic instead, I'll give you 1 out of the 4, but that's a direction following issue. Because what I'm assessing is, can you do long division? So if you didn't do a long division at all, it should really be 0. I would try to be nice. If your answer was right, I would still give you 1. You can check yourself. Oh, that's a good idea. You can check yourself with the synthetic division. Were you going to ask that same thing? That means division. That's another form of notation that means you're dividing. So it's just another way of writing this. It means the exact same thing. It's just another form of notation. Negative exponents, when I teach it in Algebra 1, I call them the traitors. They go to the other side. So it's division. Okay. Can I move forward with the problem now? Are we all good? I'm glad that you're asking questions, but I feel like we're losing momentum. Are we okay here? Okay. So you're going to give it a hug and you're going to subtract. And what is always going to happen with the first column? It's going to cancel. That's like the whole point. All right. So this is -2 minus 2. -4. Good. Perfect. Bring down the -15. You're going to do it one more time. Again, I'm assessing long division. like just checking that you can still do it, but it's a way easier question than was on your quiz.
Yes.
So like it's on there, but I'm trying to give you a break because you've really already done. So you have an x, you want it to be a negative 4x.
-4.
Minus 4. I'm not going to draw the rainbows on this one, but you're going to do the same thing. Distribute a negative 4 into there. It's going to give you negative 4x minus 8. Whatever we get here is our remainder. We'll be done. So the first column cancels. Now this is negative 15 minus negative, so plus 8. So good, that would be negative 7.
Yeah.
Now, even if it's negative, how did I tell you to tack that on at the end?
Plus.
Yeah,
Plus.
I've just learned that goes better. Plus, and then just put negative 7 over your divisor. And you don't need to rewrite this. It's not necessary to rewrite it. That whole thing is your answer.
I got this wrong, so I'm just going to check. So you take the ones that you had left over, and then you do the -7 divided by the original.
The divisor, yeah. What you're basically saying is we were unable to divide this part out. So it stays over it because it was left over. Yeah, so if you wanted to do synthetic division to check it, you could, but that's a direction following thing. It's like I'm still trying to assess long division, like it's going to be on there, but a way simpler problem. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll do a little break. Is x minus 2 a factor of this? Write a sentence explaining why or why not. I'm going to make this fit in here so I don't have to get a separate piece of paper. Actually, I'm going to need another piece of paper at some point. You know what? Let's get some scratch paper. All right, got my scratch paper. So is this a factor? Let's call this 13 on your scratch paper so you know what's going on. What number is going to go in the little box off to the side?
Oh.
Close. 2. And then check your countdown. Do I need a 0 somewhere?
Yeah.
What is missing? The squares, the 2's. Okay, so we're going to have 1, -2, 0, 1, -2. So the whole question is this a factor? Yes or no? When we do this division, how will we be able to tell? Go ahead. If the remainder is what? 0, then yes, it's a factor. If it's any other number on God's green earth, then no, it is not a factor. So go ahead and work it out. I don't know what it's going to come out to. If the remainder is 0, then it's a factor. Yes. And if it's any other number in the world, then no. I got a lot of 0s, actually. Is that what you guys ended up with? Yeah, it's because there's a 0 in there. I was like, wait, is that right? Yeah. Sometimes that's how it shakes out. All right. I ended up with a bunch of other 0s here. Those ones don't matter, but this is the point. Do you see how this came out to 0 at the end? So we're going to write a sentence. Now, I became a math teacher, not an English teacher, because I don't want to grade any essays. I want a sentence, like a little teeny little sentence. Okay. So what are we going to say? Yes, because remainder is 0. That's all I want. Yes. Oh, no, that couldn't happen. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know how that would happen. Just the remainder. Yeah. We ended up with a few other 0s in that one. That was kind of weird. But yeah, that's the kind of sentence I'm looking for. Yes. Yeah, I was just about to say that. So let's say, stop talking. Let's say the remainder didn't come out to 0. What would your sentence be? No, because the remainder is not 0. Those are the two options. Like if this did not come out to 0, like say it came out to 17, you would say no, because remainder is not 0.
So the thing that have a remainder, you think that you're dividing by
Is a factor, yes. And if the remainder comes out to anything other than 0, it is not a factor.
one. Oh.
So 0, yes. Anything other than 0, no. Okay. All right. So state how many complex zeros the polynomial has. That's just how many answers are there. and then find all of them. Remember the little relay game that we did? Go ahead and close that. You remember the relay game we did? It was like that. Okay, except it's not a relay, you're, on your own. Hold on, let me end this pass. All right, so looking at this one. How many answers are there gonna be? Do not overthink this. It's like four. Why four? The highest power. Okay, actually, can we go down here and answer that for these calculator ones? Let's just go ahead and do this too. For number 18, how many answers should there be? 3. And for number 19, 5. Oh, and for number 20, 4. Good. Please, for the love of my sanity, no one misses those. Do you understand? Like that's literally all that is. Now, this is on the non-calculator part of the test. You can't type it into Desmos and go, hey, what number should go in the little box off to the side? That's not a thing. So think about what other methods you have. Synthetic division just went completely out the window. Think about what other methods you have. How else can you solve this? Factoring. Draw your 2 sets of parentheses. We're going to factor it.
We're gonna have a calculator on the other part?
Yes, there's going to be a non-calculator and a calculator part. Do you see how down here calculate? Well, you have to type them into Desmos to find what number goes in the little box. I'm going to show you. We'll do them. Yep, just hold on a second. How does x to the 4th split? Yeah, x squared. So if you don't get a calculator, you are going to have to do factoring. That's, fall back on a different method. Now, you might not know without a calculator all the numbers that go into 144. On the test, I made it a smaller number, but I'll go ahead and tell you, I wrote the question and I made them perfect squares. So can you think of,
12.
well, 12 plus 12 won't be 25.
So it has to be.
What are some other perfect squares? No, not 3.
9.
9 is one of them. Good.
And
7.
It's 9 times 16. Good job. We got there.
I'd never guessed that.
And they're both pluses. Thank you. All right. And then what do you do? Because if you stop there, it's a sad day. I have to take off points. Yeah, set them to 0. If you don't finish, then you didn't get your answers. This one would give you x squared equals -9. This one would give you x squared equals -16. And then you square root, and what are your answers?
Plus or minus 3i, plus or minus 4i.
Good. I'm going to write them on the line. Plus and minus 3i and plus and minus 4i. If you're like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to forget to put the plus minus, what will help you catch that? If you're like, oh, I'm scared. There has to be 4 answers. So if you're double checking, like, hey, did I get 4 answers? This is 2 answers and that's 2 answers. You're not going to forget as long as you're paying attention.
Part in my head, I cut out the first, showing what the thing.
I'd like to see at least what I wrote here. I didn't write very much either. I did some of it in my head.
Jump from the last time.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I kind of want to see what I wrote here.
Okay.
Give me like one more step. All right, I'm going to skip these ones and come down to the calculator part because that's going to be, continuing to do the same thing that we just got done doing. But you will get a calculator for these. So let me bring up the calculator. Please stop talking while I'm talking. And when I hear my voice, I should not hear any other voices. Kind of like I'm a narcissist. And no one should be talking while I am talking. If I hear my voice, I don't want to hear your voice. Go ahead and close the computer. No, I'm going to do it. I don't like those open while I'm teaching because I want to make sure you're all paying attention. It's okay.
Start fast card. Right on.
So we already wrote how many answers we should get. I'm going to come over here and type in 2x to the 3rd. I want you guys to double check me, make sure I don't type this wrong. If you type it wrong, the whole thing's not going to work out. So please watch and pay attention and make sure this is getting typed in right. All right. Good there?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to click right here. What is our first 0? Now it's -1.5. I don't want that as a decimal though. It would be much better for it to be a fraction. Does anyone know what -1.5 is of a fraction? Good. If you weren't sure, let me show you. I feel like you should know that one. It's not that complicated, but if you type in -1.5 and hit this little blue fraction button, do you see how it's -3/2? Oh, what did you say? All right, this is number 18. -3/2 goes in the little box off to the side. Now also, let me reshare this here. Do you see any other zeros? No, that means the other ones are gonna be imaginary. Now, is our countdown in order? Are we all good? We're good. Just steal the numbers from the problem. And what is our remainder going to be?
Wait, how do I
The remainder will be 0. If it's not 0, you have done goofed.
okay. Now how do you factor that? I mean, then this one.
Okay, you bring down the first number, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add until you get to the end. So -3/2 times 2. It'll be negative.
I'll
It's
just
3.
put this in the
Good.
calculator.
And then add the column, you get
Wait, how do we know? Like, how would you do that?
-3 divided by 2 times 2. Like, the twos just cancel. It's -3.
Oh, the twos.
So hold on, let me say that again so it ends up on the recording. -3 times 4, -12 divided by 2. Also, we've done ones like this. I don't know what's happening here. All right, add the column 8.
Wait, is it not 18, 6 times 3?
No, what?
I don't know what you yapping about.
-3 times 4 is -12 divided by 2 is -6. 14 minus 6 is 8.
Oh, yeah. I
-3 times 8. I'm a little nervous to ask, but -24, thank you, divided by 2 is, hallelujah, -12, and it comes out to 0. Go ahead and put that away.
No,
You won't touch those or use those at all. It's Desmos from here on out. Go ahead and put it away. Now, what do these all divide by? 2. So this is going to be 1, 2, 4. Do you understand what I did there? Thank you.
That's gonna be the bottom number. Okay.
So this is going to be x squared plus 2x plus 4 equals 0. Now what? Because you just don't stop. Keep going. It won't factor. Factoring is a valid option, but this won't. You complete the square. As a heads up, mine will all complete the square. I'm glad you said factoring because that is one of the other methods. And that's not like a wrong answer, but I make them so that they won't factor. I want you to complete the square. All right. So what are we going to add to both sides? 1. Good job. 1 usually trips everybody up. You guys got that. Nice. So blank squared, what's going to go in the blank? X plus 1. This side is -3, which makes sense because when we square root a negative, it'll be imaginary. We didn't see any other zeros on the graph, so we're expecting them to be imaginary. So x plus 1 equals plus and minus I square root of 3. 3 is not a big enough number to split. The square root of 3 is just the square root of 3. You just put an I in there because it's imaginary. Why did I put the I in front of the square root?
Because
Wait,
the
that's
negative
double
is.
now.
Well, if I put it after, can you see a problem? Like, do you see how it might look like it's underneath the square root?
Yeah.
That's why we put it out front, all right? And then what's the last step? I'm gonna write these answers on the line here.
-1.
Good, so it's -1 plus and minus I square root of 3. Now that's 2 answers. You gotta include the other one, which is x equals 3.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be -3/2.
Oh, thank you, I'm sorry. Why did thank you. Jeez Louise, -3/2. I'm so sorry, guys. Here you go. Why did I write 3? You know why I wrote 3 is because I wrote a 3 right there and that's what my brain did. I'm sorry.
Wait, do we write?
It's what was in the little box.
Oh.
All right, let's try 19. I'm gonna go and type that in the calculator. I need for you guys to just watch and make sure I don't type it wrong. You gotta look after me like I messed up that other one. All right, x to the 5th, plus 3x to the 4th, plus 11x cubed. Thank you, minus 4. Oh, what did I do wrong? Why did it do that? Minus 43. No, he didn't. So I just typed it wrong. All right, what is this? Minus 112 x minus 60. Okay. I got there. Are you guys all looking? Okay. So what is 1 0 we can put in the little box? 3. Let's do 3. I don't know. I didn't click on it, but we'll do that next. We'll get to it. I promise. No, because we are gonna do that next, so just hold on.
That we see.
It doesn't matter what order you do them in, so you can't mess it up. It will not make a difference. All right, is our countdown in order?
Yeah.
We're good? Yeah, okay, now here I won't fault you if you do need a calculator to type in some of these. Like multiplying by 3 and dividing by 2, I think you should be able to do without a calculator. If these numbers get out of hand, I will type them in for us. But let's see, I'm good so far. So 6 times 3 is 18.
Wait, can you slow down?
Yeah,
Is that a positive or a negative?
And I'm gonna-
Yeah.
Oh, I moved mine.
Okay, I'm good.
okay, so 29. Okay, if you didn't know 29 times 3, I'll give you that. I mean, I think you could
87.
work it off to the side. Good job, 87. I think a 2-digit times a 1-digit is
Oh, that.
reasonable. I think you should know how to do that. 44, good. So here, I mean, yeah, you do get a calculator. The numbers are kind of big. If you do 44 times 3,
132.
132. Hold on. So this is, wait, not 60. You said 60. That messed me up. 20. Thank you. Times 3 is 60. 0. Phew. All right, we made it. Next number. But hold on, because everybody is still writing it down. Just chill for a second.
Yeah, I figured out I worked on
Yeah, I think that's valid. A 2-digit times a 1-digit is valid.
It's not that bad.
It's not that.
Two, you added 0 every time.
And
you
if
go to the next
people
one.
Right, and that I don't think I mean, you learned it way back when, but calculator for that. A 2-digit times a 2-digit is calculator. All right, please stop talking. Now we're gonna go back to the graph. What is the other number there? -1. Now, if you wanted to do that one first, could you have done that one first? Sure, it does not make a difference, all right? So put -1 in the little box. We're gonna do it again. You should still get 0. I think the numbers will be a little bit nicer now. Well, this one was an x to the 5th, and you need to work until you get it down to a squared. So how many times are we going to have to divide out? 3. It was to the 5th. I need to get it down to the 2nd. You can't complete the square unless you have a squared. So we have to divide out 3 times. We've now done twice, but we need to do one more.
So why did you do -1 though? So
Because that was on the graph.
Don't read about it all. No.
is it
Well, just hold on a second. Do you see how -1 is one of our zeros? Like we did 3 and then we did -1. You could have done it in the other order. It doesn't make a difference. All right, now it is a bounce. So we get to do -1 again, twice. Do you see how it bounces there? So we're going to do -1 again. Now I did that real quick. I want you to try it and then just look up here and check your answer. I tried to do it fast so I could get ahead of you because some of you are like lightning through here. But do you understand why we had to divide out 3 times?
yes,
Our power was 5. You have to get it down to square.
that one was down.
So you get to do it twice because it bounced.
Power is 5, you have to-
So now when you put your x's back in, it will look like this. And we're going to complete the square. Because it bounced. Sorry, do you guys understand how many times I had to answer that exact same question? Why did we do that one twice? Because it bounced. Why did we do that one twice? Because it bounced. Do you know why I got asked that so many times? It's because y'all are talking and you can't hear me answer it the first time. And I don't like repeating myself. I do get that that is part of my job, but like you guys need to listen to me. Sorry, fussing at you. All right, so we're going to subtract over the 20 and then complete the square. So what would we add to both sides? 4. 4 is a little bit weird because 2 plus 2 is 4 and 2 times 2 is 4. So blank squared, what's going to go in the blank? X plus 2, good. So on this side, -16. Ooh, that's negative. That means our other answers are going to be, yeah, like imaginary. And that should make sense because they didn't show up on the graph. So when you square roots, it'll be plus and minus 4i. I heard some of you say that. And then I'm gonna go back up to the line here and write it on the line. What would be your last step?
-2 plus or minus.
Good, subtract over the 2. So it is gonna be -2 plus and minus 4i. That's 2 answers, but I need 5. So we also had 3, and you need both of your -1s. Yes, you have to write it twice to get the total of 5. Twins count as 2 people, is how I always justify that. Okay. All right, we got one more of these. Please stop
I voted.
talking. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. And let's go type this one in. So we have x to the 4th minus x to the 3rd minus 25x squared plus 31x plus 30. Cool. I see a lot of, did I type that right? Let's see. Oh, there's one, -5. Real quick, how many times are we gonna have to divide out for this one? 2. Why 2? So the 4th, and we need to get it down to 2. So twice. Oh, I already forgot. Was it -5?
Yes.
There, okay. So put -5 in the little box. And I think our countdown is okay. You should get 0 as the remainder. If you don't, you had a negative sign issue somewhere is usually what it is. But I love that. Like, you know what the answer is going to be, like, before you even start the question. Like, you know it's going to come out to 0. So it's super helpful. Now we have to divide a second time. You have to get it down to a square. So I'm going to show you guys the graph again. Now look it. When I click on that one, skip over it. That's going to be a plus minus square root thing. There's a good one. 2. Do you guys see where I got 2 from? Right there from the calculator. 2 goes in the little box. Divide it out. You'll get 0. All right, so we're going to put the x's back in here. It won't factor. Like, I'm glad if you're thinking that, that's like usually one of your options. I made it so that none of these factor. You're going to complete the square. That's not because I'm being mean. The reason for that is, you're like, why is she doing that? If they all factored, you could just get all the answers from the calculator. So if I made it like that, you could cheat your way through it. So I have to make it different. All right, what are we going to add to both sides? 4. So it is going to be blank squared x minus 2, good job, equals 7. Yep, hold on, because you guys are super quick, but not everybody writes at that speed. All right, so x minus 2 equals plus and minus square root of 7. That doesn't split. It's too small of a number. And then I'm going to write my answers on the line. So we are going to have, what is that going to be? 2 plus and minus square root of 7. And -5 and 2. So if you are paying attention, and I do it like this on purpose so that the number of answers is right there next to it so that you can double check yourself. Oh, thank you. I was going to do that and I totally forgot. Okay, watch. Now you can't check if they're imaginary because they aren't there. But what did we get? 2 plus square root of 7? Watch this. 2 plus square root 7. Do you see how it's 4.6 blah, 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 blah? When I click on this one, do you see how it's that same thing? Oh, and then if you do minus, do you see how it's the negative 0.645? That's this one right here. So if they're real, you can check them. If they're imaginary, you can't. All right, let's go back and get those ones that we skipped. I wrote a little bit too big some of them. So 15, 16, 17. These are the ones that are like kind of tedious, but not real hard. You're going to write a function that has those zeros. So we're going to do this backwards. What would be your factor for the -2? X plus 2. Perfect. And then for 3, x minus 3. And then you have to remember what I've taught you. For 4i, you would have x minus 4i, but there's another one, x plus 4i. Even though it doesn't say it, you have to know it's there. Now you have the annoying job of multiplying it all together, but you guys have done well with this, so I believe in you, all right? When you multiply these two, x squared, good, we're on our way. Minus x minus 6, good job. And then when you do these two, now hold on, you guys are quick, but I got to keep everybody together. X squared, I'm going to write it off to the side. If you're able to do it in your head, that's totally fine. Yeah, now hold on. When you multiply these two, it will give you -16i squared. But do you remember what I squared equals? -1. So this is -16 times -1, which is +16. Now, when you multiply these together, it's going to be real long. How many terms are we going to have all added together when we multiply these? Why will there be 6 things in a line? 6 is correct. There's 2 here and then 3 here. So the square root of -1 is I. And so if you square both sides of that equation, you get this. So I squared is -1. So this was -16 times -1. It'll always end up being positive is the way I remember it. I'm like, it's just always going to be plus. Okay, so let's distribute. We're going to distribute an x squared into here, and then we're going to distribute a 16 into there. It's going to be 6 things all added together, 6 terms, I should say. So if you distribute x squared, x to the 4th minus x to the 3rd minus 6x squared. It's a little bit of writing, but it's not like hard, right? If you distribute a 16, 16x squared minus 16x minus, oh, I don't know 16 times 6, and this is on the non-calculator part of the test, so fair game. That would be 36, so 96. And then like terms go together. If you don't put in f of x equals, I am not going to take off, but I'll be happier in my soul if you put it there. Like terms together would give you 10x squared. I don't love those problems. They're a little bit tedious, but they, again, like it's not hard. Just multiply numbers together and stay organized. It's more about organization than anything else. All right, now these two. -1 with a multiplicity of 4, 3 with a multiplicity of 3. That is going to be your triangle. Do you guys remember this? Now, I only went up to a multiplicity of 4, so you don't need to go any further. But you're just adding the numbers above. And about half of you said you saw that last year. Like you did that last year. So like about half of you are like, it wasn't even new for you. Now I'm going to write up the wrong thing. This is the most common mistake I see, and I want to see if you guys can catch it. For number 16, is that I see that. What is wrong with that? That's not correct.
It's x plus 1.
It is x plus 1 because -1 plus 1 is, I will tell you, that is the most common mistake I get on these questions. And I don't understand why it happens, because usually in 15, everything goes fine. And then when it's this, everyone loses their mind. Just make sure you make that be the opposite. It's -1 plus 1 gives you 0. I don't know why that happens. I'm just letting you know I've noticed it. I don't get it because, again, usually number 15 goes okay. But anyway, which line of this are we going to use? The fourth one, the one with the 4s in it, right? Okay, so you're going to write out 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. And if you forgot how this works, just watch. I'm going to re-teach it to you. You start with x to the 4th, and then do your countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And then your other number is a 1, and it just goes in the opposite order. This one's going to be really easy because it's a 1. And then you just slap some plus signs in between. Did I lose anybody? That you finally got quiet? Are we okay? You get it? Did you write it down? Okay. I would scribble out the zeros. I still suggest you write them. It's part of the pattern, but I would scribble them out. And then you just write your answer. Again, I'll be happier if you put in f of x equals. If you don't, like fine, as long as your answer's right. But it is a function, so f of x equals x to the 4th plus what? Actually, none of these are going to change, are they? Because multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. So 4x cubed plus 6x squared plus 4x plus 1. All right, last one. X equals 3. What does that mean? I'm going to put in my parentheses. Minus 3 to the 3rd. Wow, this is going to have a lot of 3's in it. Again, I don't know why. That's the most common mistake I get. And it's fine everywhere else except on these problems. So I don't understand that, but I'm just letting you know. So please try not to have that happen. All right, which line of the triangle are we going to use? Yeah, the third one, the one with the 3's in it. So it is. I told you the highest I would give you is 5. I won't go above 5. And I can't remember everything in the entire world, but since I made these ones a 3 and a 4, I'm pretty sure that's what I did on the test too. I try to make your study guide match the test exactly. All right, so we're gonna have x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd, x to the 1st, x to the 0. Be okay. And then you do -3. So -3 to the 0, -3 to the 1st, -3 to the 2nd, -3 to the 3rd. Slap some plus signs in between. Now, again, exponents first, then multiply. It's PEMDAS. It's your order of operations. You have to do exponents first, then multiply. So let's see. Oh, whoops, I don't want to scribble that out. Scribbling out the wrong thing. So the first term is just x cubed. For this one, you're doing -3 to the 1st, which is just -3 times 3 is -9. Good. And when you have a negative here, do you remember what happens with your symbols? Plus, minus, like they're going to alternate. Good. So you can use that to check. All right, for this one, -3 squared, not +9 times 3 is 27. And then -3 cubed. Well, you guys should know 3 cubed. From Algebra 2, you should know that. It's just going to be negative. So what is 3 cubed? Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. In my head, I was doing 4 cubed, and I was expecting a different answer because my brain did something weird. 27. You're correct. -27. Do you know 4 cubed? 64. I don't know why I had 4 in my head. Do you know 5 cubed? When I taught Algebra 2 a long time ago, I had everybody memorize up through 5. Beyond that, I was like, you can use it.